like to introduce two of our panelists who are well known for their success in guiding startup companies to rapid solid growth. Marcus Sheridan and Todd Barr. Todd has been working mostly in B2B and Marcus in B2C space, but recently in B2B as well.
One of the others, Marcus, is the top 5 questions that you have in your book really intrigued me just as much, and that is to talk about best in class and, well, I'm going to kind of compare best in class and comparisons versus kind of discussions on your website. What would you like to say about that?
So real quick, in the book, we know, this is what I discovered early in my obsession over the way buyers ask questions, and I found that this was true in pretty much every industry in the world. There's essentially 5 major subjects that every buyer wants to research before, keyword, they talk to the company or the salesperson, or before they order the product. They want to understand cost questions. They want to understand problems or negatives, issues or drawbacks about that product or service. They want to understand how does that product or service compare to other products or service that they're looking at. They want to know what is everybody saying about that product or service, reviews, and they want to know what is the best product or service. They don't necessarily want to buy the best, but they want to know what the best is so they can work off of that. Okay, this is the psychology of today's buyer. And so these are also all the questions that your sales team is asked every single day. So you're recommending this, but they're saying, I should get this. Why are you saying that, right? Now, best is the same thing. I mean, if anybody's listening to this right now, like think about how many times you've used the word best plus whatever you were searching online. I mean, it's pretty stinking prolific. We love to search for best. Now, the issue is lots of times people will say, but they don't want to know what you are saying, Marcus, because you're the company. They don't care what you're saying about it. Like, no, that's totally false, by the way, okay? You think that, but has your sales team ever had to ask the question or answer the question? The answer is yes, they have. And so if they're coming into your showroom, if they're coming into your office, if they're calling you and they're saying, okay, you know, you're Marketo, I'm looking at HubSpot. So tell me, why should I choose HubSpot over Marketo or Marketo over HubSpot? If Marketo doesn't address that question, they are the ostrich with their head in the sand. They're saying, I know you want to know, and I know you ask us this all the time, but go to a third-party site where you can get your answer. I think that's the stupidest model in the history of marketing. Is just let third-party sites dictate our entire educational experience in our industry. Now, granted, I know that there's third-party sites, especially in the SaaS industries, that dominate, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be talking about those things, right? And so there's many, many ways that you can do this. Let me give you just one really simple example of how I did this early on. Like, before I was even a manufacturer, I said, you know what? One thing that people want to know are the best fiberglass pool shapes and sizes. So I said, all right, and I did this in like 2012 or 13. I gave out awards to manufacturers in the industry whom I was competing against for best swimming pool shape and sizes in class, best kidney shaped fiberglass pool, best rectangle fiberglass pool. I literally gave out these awards, right? And so as I gave out these awards, all these people were like, wow, this is so interesting. And the manufacturers were like, who is this kid? But once they saw the traction that I was getting, then all of a sudden they were saying, hey, Marcus, I see you didn't give us an award. Do you want to come do a tour of my factory? So this is what was happening to me, right? And so before I knew it, I was dictating. I was essentially like a linchpin within the fiberglass swimming pool industry. And people all over the world were coming to me and saying, so what do you think about this manufacturer, Marcus? Like, even though I didn't sell them, I was the one that was holding the conversation. And of course, that benefited me greatly when I became a manufacturer as well. And as a manufacturer, do I still talk about my competitors? Yes, of course I do. Why? Because people ask. That's why.
Todd, what are you doing on the comparison versus or the best in class?
So I got to give our CEO, Sid Sibrandy, credit because he's been driving to have comparisons of all of our competitors on our website, and we have at least 75 comparison pages.
That's amazing.
Of our competitors
Todd,
on our
that's
website.
flat out amazing.
And what the needle we're threading right now is that we're actually trying to we've hired a firm. It's a third-party firm to do the review that we're putting on our website.
Okay.
So we may lose on some of those, but we're doing that because Marcus may be right that they would be fine reading our opinion of it, but we're also trying to say, well, here's what a third party is saying, but we're putting it on our website. And that allows me as a marketer to put conversion opportunities on that website. And so I'm trying to do kind of get the best of both worlds there.
I think that's great though, Todd. I think that's great what you're doing. You know, I don't think most companies could afford to do that. The fact that you're doing that and willing to stand behind the results is extraordinary. It really is. Because to your point, you're setting yourself up at times to quote fail, right?
Yeah.
By having a third-party site do this. And so my issue with third-party sites is when we say the conversation is not going to be had on our house. It's going to be had somewhere else.
Yeah,
that's the flaw of the third-party site, right? Because if they're having to go somewhere else to get their questions answered, that's when I go crazy and consumers and buyers go crazy. But if you do like Todd and you have the capabilities to have a third-party site, gauge it, test it, study it, and then produce the results, and it goes on your site, you own it. Now that's glorious. You're saying this, Todd, I'm like, I gotta do a stinking case study on GitLab. This is dope. 75 comparison pages. I have never even heard of that. I'm serious. I've never heard of that before. It's dang glorious.
A lot of credit for that, and we're just trying to keep up with that now, because that also is, content. One of the hard parts about content is you have to really.
If that's not evergreen, it changes.
And once you get up to 75 competitors, it's
that's tough.
Daunting. It is a cost, but I think we just redid a page with more conversion opportunities, and it's already working. It's getting more traffic and converting into people reading more content. So,
and let me guess too, Todd. I'm assuming your sales team loves those 75 pages because there's no way they can remember the differences. So they can use that as a reference point all the time. Arguably,
a large percent of the traffic is our own company, but that's okay because that's important content.
No, right. But that allows a salesperson that starts tomorrow to have an immediate answer they can find.
Yep.
That was company doctrine, the gospel according to us, right? That is a comparison between them and a competitor. That's a huge deal. Many salespeople will have to wait years to get that intel because it's not in one repository. You've made it in one repository for them, which is beautiful.